Thank you.
Does everybody have their microphone on? Do you want me
Okay.
to turn it off, Jody?
Hello, Chris.
How we doing?
Seat up here, Mark.
Hi, Chris. Yeah, come and join us.
Oh, you've got a mic built in.
All righty. We'll call the meeting to order. Thank you for coming and serving. I'll call for a motion of approval of our minutes for our February 7th meeting.
So moved.
Okay, so you're making a motion, Tim,
Motion
on it?
to accept.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Chris, you want to take it from here for budgetary numbers and see if there anything we need to discuss? There any major changes from the last time we met a month ago?
There is not any major changes. I sent those reports out a couple weeks ago, and we're at 58% of the year passed with about our revenues are actually up, which are good for this time of the year. I'm just going to jump down to the totals here. So we're at 58% of the year passed, and we've already collected 78% of our revenues. For general government, we've spent 47%. Actually, I'm just going to go down to the totals because that's what really matters. Total public safety, we're at 46%. Once again, 58% of the year gone. Roads, this is the nomenclature because we have hardly spent anything thus far this year, but Ted's working very hard to get that money spent. So this 39% is going to jump up greatly once we get some reports back from the engineers. But that's kind of the way it is to the whole budget. We're under everything, which is great. We're in a good position at this moment.
Chris, does that 39% include snow removal?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, our snow plow has been down this year too, as much as, I mean, because of the year's been in a kind of an anomaly. We're getting a lot of snow in the mountains, but there hasn't been as much in the valley.
Really kind of worthwhile for everybody.
We haven't had to get more salt, which is unusual too. We've spent salt. We'll probably haven't have to get
so
through the year.
much last year.
Yeah.
So much salt.
Well, and Corbett did spend most of the salt budget in the fall, so he spent 102% of the budget. So he got most of the salt. But Mark, we're at 48.9, so 49%. So we're doing pretty good on snow removal right now.
Did have to laugh this last storm. Angie has learned that if she just waits down at the church for the snow plows to come, she can follow the snow plow up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This was her third attempt to try and get up, but the snow plow got stuck, so she couldn't get up because she couldn't even follow the snow plow. It was that bad. So she's like, okay, I guess I'll just be parking at the church.
I walked onto the church once a few years ago. I wasn't so much worried about me going up as everybody sliding down.
Yeah.
So I just take a,
Well, yeah.
My husband makes it to the bottom of our, like, to Pine View, and then I have to get on the four-wheeler. One night, I literally, like, in my slippers and my house robe, on the four-wheeler with the plow, like, plowing the road so he could get home.
That's awesome.
I know, I was like, I think you owe me something
Well,
for this.
There we go. We can just eliminate one of our snowplow trucks. We'll send you
I'll
out on
just
your
take care of
four-wheeler.
Broad Hollow.
You're out there.
Save some money, yeah.
lady on a four-wheeler.
Yeah.
Inner slippers.
Less
I'd like
fuel
to
on
see that.
those.
I
For
think
the
our
water-
budget,
Well, for the
Okay.
water account, we collected 68%, once again on a 58% year budget, so we're doing good on there. That is going to be a little bit higher because this will be the first full year that we have the state mandated raises. And so we're looking pretty good, but those are going to go towards the inflated payments that we're going to have shortly. But on the expenses, we've only spent 22%. So once again, Ted's working on that, and we got a few other expenses that will come, like some bond payments and stuff that will naturally start coming in the spring. That'll jump that right up. So overall, everything's just looking great. Couldn't ask for a better situation right now.
great, thank you for that report.
We'll fix that.
Wish I could say the same about my business.
I've got here as an overview of Public Works budget, but we got Public Works review of various projects. We can probably combine those together. Mark, do you want to take some time on that?
Sure. On the overview of Public Works budget, my hope there was to have some of our folks here, but I guess none of them could make it tonight, and kind of give them a little overview of how the budget is spent for Public Works. We can go over that, and I can relay that to them at the next meeting, or Ted can, one or the other. So, again, the idea was, where's the financing come from for projects, various projects. I was kind of hoping to help everybody get a better understanding of that. As far as Public Works project reviews, Public Works Committee over the last couple of years has put several priorities together. I think we presented 6 of them to the council, not last year, but the year before, and nothing has really changed since then. I know that we're talking with Ted, there's a couple of priorities that I think the council is looking at this year that he'll go over. But what I'm seeing is, obvious items for the budget, again, is the snow removal. That's an annual budget that we keep looking at. And we do have a seat. We do have one member show up. So
Great.
and so that was kind of
Head of the table, Nate.
that was obviously something that we need to continue looking at, is where we at on the snow removal. Last year, I think we obviously spent a lot more than we're going to spend this year, as the budget overview just showed. So that's something that we need to continue with. And also, we've talked about sewer operations. That's not gotten a lot of traction in the past, but I think with all the new changes with the Basin City, I think that's something that we probably need to take a little closer look at. And again, Ted is probably much more up to speed on that than I am.
What kind of budget numbers does the city have on Payson dealing with them? Is that?
So, and I can give you the kind of the quick budget, a little bit of budget information, what little I know right now. So we've got about 5 miles of sewer, I think it is, in the city. Most of it over there on the Thousand Oaks and Summit Creek area. The monthly fee to the customers is $94 a month. That's what you pay for sewer. Of that, $67.50 goes to Payson, I believe it is, or the treatment of it, and then about the remainder, whatever that is, $20-something is for the city for the operations and maintenance of the infrastructure here. Historically, Payson has kind of maintained the system, but they're now getting out of that business of maintaining our sewer and would like us to maintain it. So we'll start some of that. So that $20-something that comes to the city is for the operations and maintenance of our sewer infrastructure. We still have the 60-something we're going to have to pay to Payson for treatment. But.
So within the city then, is the lower part, they're not on sewer? Or are they on sewer?
Lower part.
Woodland Hills.
Parts of it. So over in the newer development, over by the Stake Center in that area, that's all on sewer.
Right.
Over where you get into Oak and in Maple, in this area over here is not on sewer.
Okay. Is there any plans to put sewer
I'm not on
lines in?
sewer.
Not at this point.
Neither am
I
I,
think,
but-
what are we at, about 15% of the connections of the
Be about 20, about 15 to 18. We have 100 sewer connections and there's 465 homes.
so 20% tops on, plus I think what's available is on the sewer, the rest is on septic system. And I don't know that there's any plans to do that we've talked about over the years. In fact, we've kind of been hoping, to avoid that as much as possible, because the cost of putting people that are on septics onto sewers is immense, because you'd have to put new street, tear up the roads, put new lines in, and everybody's got to connect to that. And so trying to stay away from it. I think the state is kind of trying to force it that way as much as they can. So eventually it may happen, but for right now, I don't think that the state is pushing us real hard. I don't know that anybody in the city is looking forward to trying to do that.
It's not a high priority. It may be something down the road that the city may want to look at, but I'm not sure it's a priority project right now. It's just, Mark said it's going to be, I think, very cost
The mayor
intensive
looked at it, he said it was gonna be like $40,000 or something
per a person,
His home, per home.
per home.
per home to connect to it. I mean, it's fairly expensive by the time you put all the infrastructure in and,
And that
That's heavy
doesn't,
Very
duty.
expensive.
yeah.
and that doesn't include the connection to the system from each of the homeowners.
Yeah, that each homeowner would have to pay, they'd have to
So,
pay
you
that
know,
fee.
we're talking, you know, a lot of money, so.
Yeah.
So I thought that if sewer was available by your house and you're currently on septic, if and when your septic fails, you were required to switch to sewer at that time.
Yeah, the state says, and it's interesting how the state words it in their law, but if you're within 300 feet of a public sewer system and you can connect, or your septic fails or something along those lines, or if it's a new home, you have to connect to the public sewer system. Well, let me take that back. The cities should encourage, as I think they word it something like that. They don't say it's mandate. They
The
say
actual
that
wording is may.
cities may encourage residents to connect. So I don't know that it's actually a requirement. As now, the cities can adopt something, but from the state's perspective, they say if you're within 300 feet, cities can require or may require them to connect.
So is our city policy that you are required? Or is it just that we may, but we don't enforce it?
Yeah, so far I think we're just with the from what I understand, we go with the state requirement that they may connect.
The city
We-
did adopt a ordinance, I think, that was in line with what the state.
State does,
was.
yeah.
There was a little bit of difference and some ambiguity in that. And the intent was a little bit different than what the actual wording was. Last I heard, it was gonna get readdressed, but as of now, I don't think it has.
Yeah.
Is all new home construction required to connect?
Yes. If there is a sewer available.
Right, of course.
Right. If there's a sewer available, they have to connect.
If they're on Oak, there's nothing.
Yeah,
available.
there's nothing available. If there is new developments or new construction, they do have to install sewer or connect to the sewer. For example, the city put in a sewer system down Loafer 5-6 years ago, whenever that was. And some of the homes have connected, but some haven't. And we're just kind of leaving it up to the homeowner to decide when and if they want to connect. A lot of them are on septic right now, want to stay that way.
Like
Someone's
Northridge Circle
connected.
and Maple Ravine Circle, all those new homes, those are all on the sewer system.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then all of Summit Creek.
Summit Creek's all on sewer. Most of Thousand Oaks up around here is on sewer. Pretty, what's that?
Except me.
Except my,
I was the first one to connect. I'm proud to say I was the first one to put stuff in their lines.
Really?
the,
Be proud of that.
from what I understand, I don't know the whole history, but basically Thousand Oaks Plat A is kind of when in the 90s is when they started putting in public sewer. Prior to that, it was all septic.
And when Don built his home, Don Meekin built the homes in there. He put in a system in the
Yeah.
home. All you have to do is turn a valve. It's all installed, I guess. I haven't tried it.
That's what I understand.
Installed
too.
and connected?
Yes.
Hmm.
I think it's connected. I don't know. That's,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'd have to call Don to find that out, but.
Yeah, turn the valve, see if you get sewer backing up.
Yeah, you'd know pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, any budgetary concerns there that it's probably not, is there?
We were talking like $27 a month left over per connection, and we're talking, you know, less than 100 connections. You know, so 2,700 a month times 12, was that
31,000.
31,000? You know, I think that's probably enough to maintain it until, you know, probably get some reserve in there, so if we do have some problems. So just something we've talked about, but we've really never done the math on it. And that was about as close as I've ever come to seeing the math on that. I know there's always been something put in there. So, you know, as long as we look at it and say, hey, I think we're in good shape for the time being, it sounds like we've got that,
Yeah,
you know, covered. So
that's good.
that's good.
We,
And then-
we did recently significantly increase the sewer fees though, because it used to be just barely over what Payson charges us, and now it's all the way up to 90.
Yeah, part of it was
Well, Payson-
because Payson was one of the big jumps. They increased their rate quite a bit
So
recently.
maybe we've kept the same $20 on top all along. It's just Payson jumped.
Payson jumped up quite a bit.
Chris may have a pretty good idea on that, because he monitors that pretty good. I know that they increased impact fees for new connections, and then they also increased treatment fees.
They decreased impact fees.
Say that again, I'm sorry?
They decreased impact fees.
Oh, they did decrease impact fees? Okay.
Yeah, but the sewer rates did go up, but we also So it cost us about $10,000. We just had the insurance inspection on it, which is about $10,000. They do some kind of echo sound testing on it. So of that money we're collecting, we already spent 10,000 of it, and the new sewer rates didn't go into effect until the past, 3 or 4 months. So at the end of this year, we're not going to have as much as maybe as we will in the next year or two.
Yeah.
So maybe something we want to look at next year.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
thank you.
the investigation of the sewer, the sounding and all that, it's in good shape. All our sewers in good shape.
It's good to hear.
And then, so those are kind of the ongoing annual budget items that we focused on. And then, of course, the projects that, there are several projects, but the one I think we've talked about this year is, of course, West Loafer, where we go with that. And then, the Broad Hollow well, and just a couple of quick notes on that. You know, we've kind of reevaluated that over the last, since, Ted has come on board. And so there's some number changes on what was presented to the council. And, you know, we've got ARPA money of about 180,000 plus or minus, but I think we're gonna probably be north of that 180 to get everything we want to get completed, done on that. We've looked at some of the equipment that was in there and decided maybe it's better to just go back and replace some of the electrical equipment that's in there and do that. So I think our numbers are going to be up considerably. I'll let Ted adjust that. He's following the numbers a lot better than I am, being staff, and I just sit at home once a month, come out here and talk about it. Then, like I said, we talked about West Loafer, and then the new water line. That's obviously something that Ted's been tracking real close. So that was another priority, and I think the committee's probably been following that pretty good as far as we're at. So you guys are probably very well on top
Ted's
of
gonna
that.
get us a bunch of free money for that, right? Ted?
For which one?
For the water projects.
Yeah, that's what we're shooting
Facetiously,
for.
I'm
Yeah.
saying.
No, but really, we are actually going after some grant funding. It's not come out yet. It's CFP, I think they call it, grant money. Comes through Burgess Owens' office and the U.S. Department of Housing, whatever. No, it's the housing one. I can't remember what they call it.
Development.
It has housing in it somewhere.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, anyway, but it goes through Burgess Owens' office, and that application will be coming out, period will be coming out soon. Carrie's kind of tracking that. She talked to him a day or two ago, and it hasn't come out yet, but when it does.
So what are we looking at in that as far as, the projects are gonna be $4 or $5 million, each one of them.
Yeah.
How much of the money would we have to budget out of that?
So so we've got basically the two projects remaining. Well, we've got 8 miles of water line left to replace. That's 6-inch ductile iron installed in the 70s. All that stuff has been
About $1
failing.
million a mile, right?
About $1 million a mile. It's going to be about $8 million roughly. That includes because we we pulverize and repave the roads and stuff like that. So it's about $1 million a mile is what the last one cost us. We can apply for, I think each phase, we broke it into 2 phases, basically just evenly distributing it. So that's roughly $4 million each phase. I think we can apply for up to $5 million through this grant program. So we'll probably apply to complete, one of the phases.
Wonderful.
And then, we'll see how that goes. And then we'd have one remaining phase to figure out how to finance.
We can
or-
help in that, we would, but, I'm sure that you guys have got that. If you need anything, don't hesitate.
Yeah, at some point, I think we're going to have to let the dust settle from the last water rate increase a little more. But at some point, we're going to have to start evaluating that again to seek some more funding for a water line project. Now, last time we got, was it 3.6 million, and about 300 and something thousand, that was grant, and the rest was loan, I believe it was somewhere around there.
Seems like the 3 million number, we
3.2.
3.2,
We
yeah.
started out at one number, and then it got raised a little bit. But,
We had brought another 400,000 to the table for road completion.
yeah.
But I think we were able to avoid a rate increase because we didn't include in our reserve, we didn't count on growth. And we added growth into that, and we were able to keep our rates from going up with that extra 400,000.
Right, with the extra 400,000. The original 3.2, we raised it, and then the extra 400 we had.
We raised the rates pretty
Yeah.
substantially.
It was 20, I think it's like $25 or something like that. So a month for each person. So at some point, we're going to have to start kind of evaluating that again. I don't know, we'll keep seeking grant funds, but it's not always,
When we do, we will definitely want to get rural water involved.
Yes, yeah, we work, so we are members of rural water and we work with them a bit. Last time Janelle helped us do the
She's good.
user rate study and stuff like that, yeah.
She's done the whole spreadsheet on it. They
Yeah.
They'll come in and do the whole thing. Did they charge us to do that?
No, because we're members, and I've worked with Janelle with several communities in my previous life doing those. She actually knows my family and I know her. We're from the same area, so I know Janelle pretty well, but
We're working with Janelle up on Soldier
are you?
Summit, too.
She's really good, yeah.
She's really good, yep.
But that's probably, I'm thinking we're gonna have to wait a few years, you know, to,
And then the, one other thing that we talked about that I think we should take a look at, and more than likely, we can do this in-house, Ted's probably very capable of doing this, is our water rights. Where are we at on our water rights? We've gotten a lot of water rights, but we haven't got all of them proved up yet. So what we may need to do is take a look at what our usage is and how much we've proved. And we can just, you know, simply say, hey, we're still okay. Or if we need to look at bringing some more water rights excuse me, to get them perfected. I think that's something we ought to get a handle on. I'm not quite sure where we're at on that, and maybe Ted is. And we can also bring Wayne in on that. He's been following that. I think we can look at doing that in-house, and if it looks like we're okay, great. If not, then we may need to look at getting some help getting that approved.
yeah, and I can send you some, I just had to go through all that a little bit ago when we were looking at some potential annexation stuff in the city, and we'll look at that. I mean, water rights are okay right now, but we do have some to proof up that we're gonna have to start at some point, you know.
We did talk about in our presentation and recommendations is that the city may be putting in, you know, an amount each year so that when we need to spend that, we have it, whether with, you know, $5,000-$10,000, just so that money will be in reserve when we do need it.
Yeah.
For
water rights, roofing and everything else. And, you know, we just have a fund there rather than going and looking for that money ahead of time. That was always, you know, what we presented, and I'm not sure where the council went with that.
yeah.
So I have a question while we're on public works and roads and things. So Chris and Ted, are you comfortable with the fact of the impact fees we collect? Or I've noticed going down Summit Creek, I mean, those
Yeah,
roads are getting
That road is
hammered.
getting hammered.
So bad.
They're getting hammered so bad.
It's a
We got
mess.
enough impact fee that we're charging on that to cover the cost of this?
Not for roads.
Yeah, we don't collect impact fees for roads. It's basically impact fees are it's a little tricky because impact fees, you have to complete an impact fee study to charge anybody with an impact fee. And so far, I mean, water and sewer are really the only things we have impact fees for and can charge for. We do have building permit fees also, that
I
we,
think that's what I'd be concerned about is.
That we do
making sure
charge,
We have
but-
enough in those fees to cover these roads, because they're,
So just quickly on that, on the impact fees, because the road was put in by the developer, it was paid for by the developer, built by the developer, and then dedicated to the city. There was no impact to the residents on that because it was all paid for by the developer.
right.
So for actual infrastructure cost, that would either be paid for by, you know, developer sources or impact fees. What we're talking about now is maintenance, O&Ms, that cannot be paid for using impact fees. That has to be done with user rates, or in this case, taxes, or whatever, however we collect B&C funds and tax. So once the road's put in and dedicated, there's no way to collect impact fees on it anyway.
Yeah,
Unless
that's-
it's a public project that benefits everybody that's being paid for by the city.
and that one's just a little bit tricky. Now, if they do damage things, we do requirement final inspection to repair it, like they damage a curb or something like that. They have to fix it before they're done with their construction.
Well, it looks to me like it's damage from the equipment, the heavy equipment that's bringing in materials and
And in that is cases where if they do that and it's significant damage, we make them repair it. Now, it's tough because, you know, we're talking Summit Creek, but the reality is we got building that goes on a lot of places in the city and the same thing happens. We just see it because we drive Summit Creek a lot.
Yeah.
But up Eagle Nest, there's a lot going on.
Eagle Nest is really bad over by.
Oak Drive.
Oak
Right.
Drive. I
agree
mean,
with that.
it's all around the city. And so it's something that we have to either have them fix as part of the damage. And we can't like collect a fee from them, but we can require them to fix it, so to speak. Or we can use our O&M budget.
Yeah, so we don't have to pull a bunch of money on that because it's their fault.
Mhm.
They're the ones that are causing the damage.
But then that gets even, and we try and do that at final inspection if there's, significant damage, if it's wear and tear, even if it's large equipment. If it's just wear and tear stuff, it's hard to say whether it was their damage or if it was something that, obviously if they had a large truck there and it dug a hole in the pavement, that's something they did. If it's cracking, stuff like that, it's hard to say that's your fault. Could be the way the road was built.
Normally, once they dedicate it to the city, they put a bond in place for an insurance bond. And once the warranty is up, then that money is refunded back to the developer. And then there was no, like Ted was saying, if there's damage done, yeah, that can be billed to whoever did the damage. Another example of that, this one's close to home on me, is if you get, somebody does a road cut in order to put in infrastructure, gas line, water line, or whatever the case might be, and that whoever, cuts that road, there should be an excavation permit that covers that so that if it doesn't get fixed, which is happening right in front of my house, they cut the road up, put a gas line in, and they put a coal patch in it, never seen them again. There should be some sort of a bond to pay for that, if they don't come back and fix it.
That's what I'm expressing, is to make sure we're getting money from these developers and that are doing damage.
Yeah, they do have to apply for an excavation permit. We can't require money from them, but we can require them to fix it. Yeah. The state is has a very formal process and of what we can charge and what we can't charge. But we can require, things as part of your permit, you got to fix this, or we're going to give you your final CO or something like that.
So is there someone in the city monitoring that, or is that you, Ted?
Yeah, it's me basically. Yeah, I just kind of drive around it. But once again, if it's just kind of wear and tear stuff, it's really stuff we can't bill them for, because that's part of the nature of having roads as a city. But if it's significant damage, then we can.
So anyway, that's kind of everything that I think we feel is important this year. Kind of going off from, the previous years we've talked about, there's a few other projects, but I think that is probably what we'd like to see as a committee this year. As far, we talked about item number 3, brief discussion on, is it number 3? Yeah, sorry, item number 4. I think that, the water has an enterprise fund that pays for most of that. And then the sewer, again, that we talked about, that would also be paid for out of a sewer enterprise fund. The other items, the road, West Loafer, that is going to be, taxes and C&B road funds. And then we had a loan out on that. I don't know exactly how much of that's been spent where, that we took out a few years ago, about 5, 6 years ago now, that we used to try and get a lot of the road repairs done ahead of the inflation, which kind of really worked to our advantage, because we were able to dovetail most of that in with the water line repair, and we were able to get 2 projects done at once, and we were able to use both water and road funds. So that worked well for us. I know there's a little bit of that left for, a dedicated West Loafer, but I'm not quite sure what the numbers are. That's what
330,000, if I remember right.
Medium-sized bucks for.
So for that road, West Loafer we're going to do this year. We've actually just got the engineering group underway. The schedule is to have that completed in the next few months, get it under construction this year, so we have it done before the end of paving season, which is usually November-ish first, or kind of depends on the weather.
Can Dave Pratt and I do the ribbon cutting ceremony?
We'd love to have you there doing the ribbon cutting, yeah.
That's been our pet project for all these years. He and I keep talking about it.
Yeah, we're going to shoot. We've got 330, I believe it was, left over in the loan. We're getting 100 and I want to say 10 from Summit Creek. It's going to chip in. And then we've got 100,000, and that's that budget Chris stuff was showing you why we're a little bit under budget. 100,000 we've just kept in our Class C funds that we'll put towards it, and hopefully that covers the cost of it.
Yeah, we're looking at a little over 500.
Is what we've got available, yeah. And we could probably find a little more if we have to. The estimate's like 550 or something like that, but we'll update that. The engineering group's working on it right
And
now.
I mean, how much road is that? Like, so what is that? How much does it cost? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the cost of road? Like, how much is it a foot? I know we figured that out once, didn't we?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not
That
sure we
particular
did.
Section's very expensive
Yeah.
because it crosses a little ravine. It's a drainage.
Yeah.
Where's this at?
Glenn Anderson's house to
Right in
Summit
front of
Creek.
Glenn Anderson's house.
It connects to Summit
That's
Creek.
It's the
insane.
cheater road everyone uses on
Yeah,
Sunday to avoid having to go.
Got deep ruts in it right now.
There's some
And-
drainage issues, right? And
Yeah, we're going to be dealing with some drainage issues, and we'll get Nate on the Public Works Committee. He's our expert in soils engineering, geotechnical engineer. So he's gonna kind of help man that project for our group.
oh,
Hey, thank you.
congratulations.
I've already drilled 5 holes into it.
Yeah, he's pretty familiar with the road.
Anyway, I think that's all that we have from a committee's perspective for this year.
We haven't worked closely with your committee in the past, but anything we can do to help
Yeah, and
help you guys.
Just keep finding money.
You know, our ordinance, one of the items in our ordinance is working closely with the finance department to work with Public Works. So I think that's something, as we move forward, we probably ought to, maybe towards the end of the year, get together again, so as we get into next year, we're not trying to, because you're getting ready to start the budget process, next week or so. And so I think we maybe get towards this, fall, maybe early winter, and kind of talk about that. So when we get to this point next year, we have a little better idea of what we want to do. So let's do it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much we covered. So we can kind of say, okay, hey, we could reevaluate this and give everybody a little head start.
Just know that we're here to help
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, so, and we did work a lot together on the water project. I remember we had a few meetings on that.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Just an overview on the selling the city equipment. Are we making progress on that? Sounds like we are.
Yeah. So we've got the Big O out here is sold, and Big O, the big orange snowplow truck,
Sold?
it's sold.
Oh,
I
it did
saw-
sell?
It's
I saw it out plowing on.
Yeah, it was plowing on
Yeah,
Sunday.
they did use it. Not that they had to, but it was kind of one of those, well, it'll help us keep up a little more. And why we still got, let's just put it, just add a driver. There's only 2 guys in the city who can drive it, and they had one of the drivers here, so they let him. They just put him out to work. They didn't necessarily have to, but they decided to. But
I was surprised to see it out on the road.
yeah,
It was parked down by the church when we were all heading to church on Sunday.
yeah. Dylan was out with the snowplow truck and had that one going. But it did. So we put on the auction about 3 weeks ago. We had the big orange truck. We have 2 salt spreaders down at the salt shed, and then we had 2 plows, front end plows that we've just had in storage and never used. So we put all that on the site, and Big O sold for a little over 25,000. Our minimum was 15, so that was good to see.
Oh, wow.
That's more than I thought we'd have got out of it.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, there.
We were surprised, and I checked with so Brian, who's not here, he kind of runs the bid site for us, and I checked with him like at a certain time during the day, an hour before the bidding was closed, and said, "Where are we at?" And he says, we're at like 10,100, and I'm like, "Oh shoot, we're not even going to reach our minimum."
Way to go.
Yeah, and like in an hour, he texted me back and said, "We got 25," and I'm like,
Wasn't one
"Cool."
of these, push it at the last second things.
Yeah.
Way to go.
And then we got about another 5,000 for the other equipment. So we made a little over 30,000 on that equipment. I think it's 30,800. That'll be great because we can use it towards some newer and better equipment. And then Corbett's truck over here, it is on the market right now. It closes tomorrow at 3. We've got a minimum of 50 on it. And last I heard it was around 45-ish,
47.
47.
47.
But it probably like the snowplow, the last hours when everybody starts throwing their bids in to get it.
They
So,
all kind of wait, don't they?
Yeah.
See?
so we'll know tomorrow on that one, but
So-
it'll
so-
close tomorrow.
We'll get 50 or more. Is that what you're saying, Ted?
Or we've set the minimum at 50. So yeah, if
You don't
it
get
goes,
50 If you don't get 50, you won't sell. Is that what it
Right.
boils down to?
Well, we'll take the 47,
yeah, we'd probably take the 47.
but we'd like them to bid it up and get it up a little higher. So
You have to, yeah. And I think it'll probably go,
Can I use inside information to make it bid at 47 too?
yeah, yeah.
So it sounds like that's going well.
So will you take the money from that truck to go towards the one for you, or will it just go kind of in for equipment? Like, is that the?
Yeah, because what we're talking about is leasing the trucks, like the one that we'll replace. So then we'll take, like we talked about last time, we'll take the one I drive now, that gray one, and well, there's some other discussions going there. Temporarily, that'll become kind of the new public works, just use truck for, because we have Zach in town. He's the one that drives around, does all the water meter sets and blue stakes and all that kind of stuff. He uses now the maroon truck, but you know, that thing, he's putting his foot out the door to break it and getting behind it to push start it and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to try and get rid of that one. Use the gray one I drive now. Yeah.
Not going uphill.
Yeah. Well, he's always going uphill when he has to start it. Yeah, but-
So you would let him
Never popped
have him
flash to get a
take your
truck
truck
started
and you would
before.
get at least another one for you?
Yeah, at least a new one for me. That'll be his. He's part-time, so that'll be parked here, and he'll use that for what he's doing. We'll get rid of the maroon one. Eventually, we've got some other conversations going on about the
Service,
some other equipment.
the service.
Yeah, the service truck. What do we do there? Because that's on us, you know, that's limping along. But we're still trying to work through with the snowplow drivers the best way to set them up for success. So we're working that out.
Ted, would that new truck you're looking at, I know you kind of talked to me a little bit about it, I don't remember the whole discussion. Would you use that truck as a combination for fire and,
Yeah,
so would fire pay for some of that as well?
it'll be a lease. It may. We'll have to see how we set up the budget on that one. Our fire budget's really tight as it is now, so if we do, we can, I mean, which is not, we can just increase the fire budget and use part of the fire budget for it.
Borrow from the water department.
Yeah, we'll just borrow from the water department. They're doing great, the water department. I don't know who runs that group, but they need a raise. Yes, because it'll be used for public works and then, but it'll be equipped with lights and sirens and everything, like this one is. That's so I can get through Provo faster.
What's the status of the new snowplows?
I sent him a message waiting to hear back, but we should be within 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Isn't
That's
that what you
exciting.
said last time?
Just in time. for
Yeah, I'm gonna keep saying 3 weeks until we actually get them.
Okay.
No, I think we were at, yeah, anyways, his name's Daniel Sebastian. I sent him a text, waiting to hear back from him.
Are they turnkey or do we have to put some money into outfitting, getting the?
They're turnkey except for some lights, I believe. Ted, are we putting lights on them?
Yeah, the legislation passed with some limitations, but we'll probably put some lights on them, yeah.
Carrie got that through.
Yeah, and there's certain, I mean, it got revamped a bit, and it's not as it was originally written, and like if they have oncoming traffic, I think they have to turn their lights, so it's not shining at the oncoming traffic when their traffic's coming at them, or toggle switch to shut them off or something, and anyway, we'll, yeah, get them equipped with some
Yeah, you
lights.
need lights on them.
Yeah.
Okay, now, one of the main reasons we're here tonight is for assignments for the upcoming annual fiscal budget planning for 7/2024 to 6/2025. In the past, we've had departments, so, you know, Corbett had a department and are you doing all of those departments now that Corbett?
Because fire always
What?
submitted a budget, right?
How is
Yeah.
that budget and how can we help?
Hey, Mike, we're a little behind the gun. The budget's about 80% done. So I gotta get a budget to the mayor in about a week and a half, and there wasn't time to go through everything like we did last year. I think we started in December or January last year. So I apologize, we had to jump ahead and get moving on that. So the general budget's, like I said, about 80% done. The water's pretty much done. I'm just waiting for staff to get back with a few pieces of information.
So
And then Ted waiting for the report.
In the past, Chris, the committee here we assigned out, like I had Corbett, I worked with Corbett on
Yeah.
that. So is that a moot point at this time? It's already being submitted and,
For this year, yeah, it's gonna need to be a moot point. We'd like to do it again next year, but maybe start it again in December, January.
Okay, well, that's easy for us.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at those numbers then. When would that be? As you
So we're gonna
say,
have a council meeting, work session on March 26th, so we want to get this mayor would like a copy of a budget to him by next Friday at the latest. So I'll be sending that out to this group. Also, around that same time, I send it to the mayor for you guys to look it over. And then it'll go to council maybe the 22nd or so for the council members to get ready for the meeting on the 26th.
So do you want us just to, through email, look at it and like respond to you if we have any concerns or?
Yeah, and I'll highlight some items on there that might be an anomaly. Like, we're still gonna keep the legal fees up a little bit this year, but yeah, as you may or may not know, the judge dismissed the final things of the FUJAs. So everything's been dismissed at this point. There is a chance for them to make an appeal. I don't know how much more I can say. I think that's pretty much the legal documents that are out there that you can find, but the judge did dismiss everything else, which was a big plus for the city.
oh, that's a big plus. That's a
Yeah.
big relief for the budget.
So once the final judgment's entered in, then there's a 30-day appeal that could still happen. And so we're not quite done yet, but getting close.
So after that 30-day appeal window is closed, then do we say, all right, now we can finally put this whole thing to bed and now we don't need to budget as much in legal fees?
That's my understanding. So this year we have 50-ish thousand in the budget, and we're going to keep it that way for next fiscal year also, just get us through.
But the year before, we had 150, right? So,
And in a normal year, what would you expect to budget for legal fees?
Yeah, now with the way things are and how big we're getting with Summit Creek developing and all this stuff going, and we'll probably want to keep it 35 to 50 just to be safe.
I would recommend that.
because we had legal fees to review our development agreement with them. We spent quite a bit on legal fees.
Yeah, I
So
recognize
that-
it's not just fighting. Sometimes it's just talking with
Yeah,
consulting,
agreements.
helping drafting good
Yeah.
amicable work.
Yeah, they're working on some easement agreements for us for West Loafer because we have to have some easements from property owners.
Yeah, the majority of the lawsuit was covered by the insurance company, but they only would cover up to $100,000, and we've been approaching that 100,000 for several months now. So that's why we're kind of leaving extra in there just in case it breached over that 100,000. We'd have to cover that.
Does our insurance premiums go up on that when we have legal battles going on?
Yeah, it could. The Utah Local Governments Trust was very, very good to us. We had 2 or 3 years where we had major workers' comp claims, and our claims, our premiums just for workers' comp alone went up $10,000. And the trust and their generosity helped actually offset that, so we don't have to bear like 5,600 of that 10,000. So yes, they try and help us as much as possible, and we could potentially see a raise because of that $100,000 claim.
So Janet, is there any discussion in the council on what you would like the committee to do in terms of vetting budget when we see these numbers?
I think just really I think we just all need to really look it over well, right? And see if we have any suggestions or questions for Chris, I think.
Yeah, I've just compared the 2 columns, this year's and next year's, and just kind of see if anything pops out at you. Questions. It's going to be pretty vanilla. Some things are going down, like some salaries are going down because we didn't need to hire certain employees. And some things are going to go up just a little bit. But really, the biggest expenses next year is going to be that new man sitting between you guys there, Mr. Ted. It's going to be spending a lot of money on roads and things. So
Well, and some of the general expenses are just more, right? I mean, our utilities and just anything we have to buy, equipment like wise, everything's just a little bit more expensive. So
Yeah.
there's be some increases there. But I think the council just wants, if everyone can look it over really good and make sure everything's okay.
So Chris, give us the rundown then on the schedule on what you're looking at there to submit the budget.
So I'm waiting for staff, hopefully by Friday, to get me to some of their needs. There's not too many needs in the office right now, but just giving them an opportunity to go through and see if there's anything we need. I'd love to get the mayor by next Friday and the finance committee. Actually, it'd be nice if I could get it to you guys a little bit before the mayor for any suggestions, but I'd like to get to the mayor by next Friday. And then to the city council Friday won't work. That's too soon. We're gonna get to the city council by Friday, so the mayor by Wednesday.
Are you talking Wednesday, the 13th?
I'm sorry, Wednesday the 20th. So let me back up. I was off a week. The mayor the 15th,
You still figure.
and everybody in the 15th. That was off a week. Ooh, thank goodness. Just gained a week. Yes, get it to all you guys by the 15th.
Okay.
And then that gives the mayor and everybody a couple days to discuss it back and forth. And then to the council by Friday, the 22nd. That gives them the weekend and a couple days before council meeting.
So is the council okay if we don't reconvene, if we just give our input via email?
I think so, yeah.
You okay with that? Okay, that's what we'll do then. You okay with that, Aaron and Tim?
Mhm.
Okay.
Just keep an eye on your email, right, around the 15th, so we can put a budget.
And how,
So we won't have a big window of time to question, so we'll have to kind of get
so
on it.
how soon after you send that, do you want an answer back from us? Yay, nay, questions?
If we could do by Wednesday, the 20th, and then 19th would be ideal. Then that way, any questions, I can go to the mayor on the 20th and 21st, prepare his final draft for the council to review on the 22nd. And then the council will go through and make their recommendations on the 26th or 26th.
So, Chris, would you kindly put in your email kind of a synopsis of that, of when you'd like it, and
Yep.
we'll respond accordingly? Okay.
I do like it when when you are able to highlight certain line items in here. It's kind of nice. So
Okay.
good to do that.
Yeah,
Is there a column for descriptions, notes to say this is why this number is so different than prior year?
I'll include the notes this time, so it'll be kind of a longer budget, but at least you'll have all the notes. Yeah, there may not be too many. The other thing that's kind of nice is there's a description that I'm gonna just put on there too that describes what these accounts for and typical expenses that go in them. And so I can include that also.
We do have 2 less employees, so that helps, right?
Yes.
We're going to put it all towards pavement management.
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as we get that plan done, we'll.
okay. Any other items of possible discussion? Any public comment? I don't think there's anyone, well, we have Nate and Mark here. Thank you for being here.
Maybe, as just a thought that just jumped out at me as we're talking about the budget. One of the things that we've been challenged with in the past is, we've kind of said what we think, and we've never really gotten any feedback as how much of that was approved or any of that. So maybe, when everything is kind of getting into the, I don't know at what point, maybe our meeting in March or something like that, we can say, hey, this is what we've looked at for public works items. I don't think we need anything really in depth, but just kind of an idea, yeah, hey, we are going to address this, this, and this, so that we kind of have an idea of what is being looked at by the council. If that's an
I wonder, Ted, with your report coming up, if it's gonna be kind of, I don't know if it's gonna be a 5-year plan, and so we're gonna do year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, plus any kind of emergencies or acute things that happen. How do you envision that?
So generally what they'll do on these is they go through and they prioritize all the projects first. Here's where you need to start your projects and prioritize them all based on the classifications and repair work. And then they put a budget. What I do is I give them kind of, here's what we have annually to spend on the roads. Then they'll start breaking them down and say, okay, year 1, do this. And then you got to save up to year 4 and then do this project. Then year 7, do this project type thing. Kind of depending on how we break up the roads. They kind of look at what we have available to spend. So that's why I'll be kind of curious about the budget, because I can give them feedback. I mean, this plan's probably not going to be done till early summer, but we can give them some feedback by saying, okay, roughly we have X amount of dollars to spend on road projects annually, road maintenance. And then they can kind of go from there and start prioritizing projects and how we should break them up.
How do we tie that in with Mark's group to make sure that what their thoughts are that need to get done? How do we get everybody on the same page?
So what we've done in the public works group is, in fact, I think it was Nate, didn't we? Had kind of, you were going to look into the public or the pavement management plan. So we're going to have the public works. We've kind of made some assignments in the public works side for them to work with the group doing the pavement management plan, and just seeing if we're, giving feedback and input to the consulting group that's working on it. so that Public Works, and then they can give updates or whatever on the project to the Public Works Committee, so everyone's kind of on board with what's going on.
I just want to make sure I'm not cutting anybody out, because Public Works has been working on this for what, 5+ years on everything, and with this PE or the engineers coming in and figuring things out too, it'd be nice just to make sure everything's cohesive and everybody's kumbaya on the same page.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree.
I think that the main thing is that we're transparent with everything we're doing and make sure that public here has access to it and that we're always above board.
Yeah, we can even post this report on our website. It can be public information, and they can go in and see how the roads are going to be prioritized. And I mean, that's why I say the trick with these, we did this once for a community with a water system. They had to replace their entire water system. They only had so much a year they were getting. When we broke it down, it was going to take 40 years, to replace their water system. So the key is trying to figure out how, from our aspect, is maximize any budget we can towards road maintenance and repair under the road budget.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, because the more we can maximize that budget towards these projects, the more we can do, basically, and the less time we'll spend on it.
And our
And it might
road
be,
for a while.
Yeah.
We need some-
and it might be good to utilize, start spending the money in April, May, and take it for the next budget year, July, August, September, and we can get more bang for our buck, transcending 2 years, but less hauling fees and that kind of stuff. One thing the mayor has kind of given me strict orders on is to make sure that we are not raising property taxes this year. We may hold the rate level, which will increase property taxes slightly, but not raise them above what they are this current year. So he's really kind of wants me to make sure that that is a priority.
Not raise the percentage, is that the judgment?
Yeah, so if we're at a 0.0055 on the rate, he doesn't, and let's say the county comes in, they want to lower it to 0.0047. He does not want to raise it above 0.55. He just wants to keep it level, this, whatever it is this year, keep it level for next year. In the end, that still translates into just a little bit of a increase, but nothing near what we've done the past couple of years.
We hope.
Yeah, that's the goal.
fast, but values are still going up a little bit.
Values are going up.
On homes? Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
still
still
a
going
little
up.
bit.
Well, they're
Not-
going up and down. Oh, good.
New homes be built, so we should have some additional revenue from taxes.
That's the question I've had, Chris, is when these new homes get built, doesn't that bring more revenue into the city?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But is
Yeah,
it
more
keeping up with
cost.
inflation and costs is the question.
But it still should bring more revenue.
It should, it should
Now,
work
the
into the,
output might be, offset.
so instead of having to raise it 1%, maybe we only have to raise the rates 0.5% or whatever the case might be. Because of the new construction.
Exactly. Okay, so what about our next meeting? When would the council want us to meet and do anything, Janet?
That's a good question for Chris. Timeline on the budget. I mean, is it a budget question that we need to meet again?
Yeah, can you kind of guide us there, Chris, on when we should be meeting again
I think the charter states quarterly at a minimum. I think with the emails that'll be going on the next couple of weeks with the budget and with council going through and looking at the budget, there may not be a need until Ted gets his reports in the late May or June sometime.
Okay,
Do we want to just look at late May or June?
that would be fine.
Yeah, I would say if we want to evaluate the reports, probably a June timeline.
Do you want to go towards like the week of June, or the week of June 24th, just to give you a little leeway?
Yeah, that'd be good. I mean, the challenge we're having is they really can't evaluate some of the roads or some of the drainage on the roads and stuff till the snow goes. So they're waiting they've done so the group that's doing the pavement management plan, they've evaluated about 70% of our town already, or so far. They're kind of waiting for some of the other until we can get more snow melt and they can look at more at the drainage ditches and stuff like that.
June, are you saying June then?
Yeah, you want to go June 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, Ted? Would that be enough?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. If anything, we'll have a really good draft by then, if not a completed report.
You say the 26th of June?
That
That's
sounds good.
Wednesday, like we normally meet.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
that's why I brought that date up.
Yeah, we'll have city council the night before. I don't know if there's planning commissions the first week. The 26th, my calendar's looking okay, but I don't think I've got all the city meetings on there.
Okay, Jody's gone, so let's tentatively plan the 26th then, and I'll let everybody know.
We'll check with her, make sure there's no conflict.
Yeah,
Do a 7 PM again.
ask your help. I'll be gone from the 7th of June till the 23rd of June.
You'll be back.
But I will be back for the 26th.
And all up to speed.
So maybe Tim or Aaron will have to beg of your help to make sure we get agenda over to Jody.
Yeah, I could help. I'm available.
Okay, very good. Very good. Then with that, we'll plan the 26th for our next meeting, and I'll call for a motion of adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
It's your meeting, I don't know if I can do it legally or not.
You cannot.
I can't either technically, I do, but I.
And you don't need to.
You and I, Aaron.
I guess it's Tim and I.
Tim has motioned.
Yep.
Tim motioned, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
And actually, I don't think for an adjournment, you need a second, just a motion.
Okay, very good.
If I remember.
Good seeing you guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, see ya.
Thanks, Chris. Have a nice time in St. George.
Thank you. Great night.
Gonna be a good weekend.
I know, he always has that behind him. We're
He's
like,
always on some island
we're
somewhere.
always like, you're on vacation.
out of Sand Hollow.
Yeah.
How are, how are you
Evening
doing?
time.
How you doing, Nate?
Pretty good most of the time.
Good, good. I didn't.
Yeah,
know
we've
you
got,
served on that committee.
we've got some great help this year on the
Yeah.
committee, we really do.
You got
They've
Nate.
shanghaied me a little bit.
Yeah, quarterly.
I have an addiction